evening, Ridgeruckers fans everywhere. Welcome to another week's video. It was another tough week for the media. You'll hear the results shortly, but they were not what we wanted. They were not the production we were looking for. It was a tough week, but there were some really good games, really close games, several tight games. And, the results are what the results are. You can only do so much as a manager. So, without further ado, let's get right into it. Before we go any further, however, we need to start with the disclaimer. This is a comedy. Okay? The opinions expressed herein are probably not my own, nor the individual even making the comment at the time. If you are my employer, a future employer, a previous employer, a neighbor, a friend, a coworker, someone I know, nobody I know, and you're offended by this, stop watching. Okay? If you're easily offended, if you need safe places, if you consider yourself to be a snowflake or someone that the world gives a shit about, this video is not for you. We're here to talk trash, sometimes say intelligent things, and talk about fantasy football. So again, if you find yourself offended by this, it's a comedy. Get over it. All right, well, those miserable results have our standings with the Booty Lickers holding on to number 1 spot. Avoid the Noid and Suck at Ditka finishing out the top 3. Missing My Young Ho comes up 1 to 4th. Gender Unicorn falls 1 to 5th, which still represents that team's best start to a season ever. Social Justice Warrior climbs 1 into the winner's circle at 6th place. The Media falls out and goes into 7th. Nut and Buttsacks climbs 3 spots to 8th. Dynasty Reimagined falls 1 to 9th. Jax, Jags, and Devontae's Inferno each fall 1 spot to 10 and 11 respectfully, and the Roster Baiters is firmly in the caboose position. They got to do something over there. Week 4 matchups. Media goes up against Nut and Buttsacks. Could be a good game. Who knows? Booty Lickers plays the Gender Unicorn. One of those two is going away sad. Jax Jags plays Social Justice Warrior. Missing My Young Ho goes up against Devontae's Inferno. Roster Baiters plays Dynasty Reimagined, which I imagine will be a pretty bad game. We'll see. And in the game of the week, Avoid the Noid goes up against Team Suck at Ditka. That's 2 versus 3. Also, as all of you know, Avoid the Noid is the league champion from last year, who was brought into the league by the team owner of Team Suck at Ditka. So they're kind of, a rivalry. And you'll see in the comments this week that shit talking has already begun. So, game of the week, we're all going to watch it closely. Good luck to everyone except for Nut and Buttsacks. We got dropped by our sponsor, Dr. Wiggles, not sponsoring the show anymore after another loss. I got to respect his, perspective on winners, though, because winning is all that matters. But we have a new sponsor this week. Keys Squirt Off. That's right. If you're in the area, please stop in. Bring your poncho. You're going to need it. First comment this week comes from the team owner of the Roster Baiters, and this is what he had to say about his 0-3 start. This fantasy season has been off to a flaccid start with no boner pills in sight. I feel like the fat girl that finally got a date to prom and has been telling all my friends about how excited I am to lose my virginity. Then the time finally comes, I take my pretty prom dress off and I realize my twat has disappeared. That's okay, my date says. You have a booty hole, right? Now, I'm just the lonely fat girl that only takes it in the back door. I can't really argue with that. Team owner of Nut and Buttsacks had a very long prepared message for the media, so excuse me, I have to read this from my phone. I'm not too happy with Team Ditka this week. A win is a win, but getting excited about beating the Gender Unicorn by less than a point is like taking a cognitive test and being excited because you scored higher than Joe Biden. This will be a big game this week. My opponent might be able to avoid the Noid, but he won't be able to avoid the Ditka that's going to smack him right between his eyes. The night of the fantasy football draft, I had the pleasure of sleeping at team owner of Avoid the Noid's house. After he had his Metamucil and sleepy time tea, I tucked him into bed and read him a bedtime story about the little Ditka that could. Once he was asleep, I logged onto his computer hoping to find any information I could that would help defeat the reigning league champ. The media does not endorse this behavior, however, It is encouraged, and I applaud his tenacity. After digging through the spreadsheets of 1980s Mets stats and thousands of images of naked Pete Alonso, I finally found documents that contain scouting reports and game plans for every week of the 2022 season. With this info, my opponent doesn't stand a chance. My Ditka will be all over him like an ass on a toilet seat after eating pizza from Domino's. Also, I put my nuts on his drum set. Suck it, avoid the Noid. Yeah. Finally, current league leader, team owner of Booty Lickers, had another long statement. As we head into week 4, I'm afraid that I am losing my fantasy football passion due to boredom. Each week I beg my opponent to get within 30 points of my score to make Sunday interesting, yet they never do. None of this is surprising given the prophecy, it's just disappointing. The storyline heading into the game of the week was the path to the championship goes through the media. I burst through that door faster than the gender unicorn, raiding a suburban family accused of denying gender-affirming care to their kindergartner. The law offices of Booty and Liquor do not gloat, and we are always looking to be fair. I understand that after a few disappointing performances, the media has been dropped by their new sponsor. Now that the dust has settled from our big rivalry, the law offices are willing to re-sign as a sponsor of the media in exchange for favorable coverage the remainder of the season. Keep an eye on the newswire for this developing story. Well, this is what I got to say to that. Okay, the media is trusted, reliable, independent, unbiased, and spin-free. Okay, we cannot be bought, but let's talk later. Well, fans everywhere, that wraps up the week 3 recap video. It's pretty short this week, not a lot of comments. I didn't ask for a lot. I was pretty damn busy because I actually have a job that pays, sort of. So remember, fantasy football is really the only thing that matters right now. And if you're the team owner of Jack's Jags and getting crushed by a hurricane, we wish you the best. Sorry we're not there to party with you, but I'm sure you'll be fine. And if not, oh well. Can I get your keeper? Have a great week.